Hello, welcome back. It's a fiery Monday. The Bitcoin price is rebounding after a very tumultuous weekend. We've got some major macro news going on across the world as the global world order continues to redefine itself. However, today, I'm coming on episode 101. In episode 100, I talked very positively about why I do this, but today I want to kind of go the other direction in that a lot of my motivation for coming out and talking is really to counter broader narratives. And, there's so much stuff that we see on the news. I recently had a conversation with a Fox News journalist and I said, I want to talk about the tech and all this. And she said, yeah, that really sounds like Twitter. That's not what our people read. They want to talk about prices. They just want to talk about the assets. And it's all generally depressing to me because that's not the exciting part. However, there's a ton of major bummers coming out in the news that I just want to address because if I am going to get us excited, I want it to be about positive developments. And unfortunately, there are some major things going on that I think are negative to the broader brand. Let's get into them. Boom. So I had this conversation with my friend. I've known this guy for years. We've worked together for such a long time, not in the cryptocurrency industry, but he was part of my life in cinematography when I transitioned almost a decade ago from cinema, film, television into the cryptocurrency industry. So he's been hearing me talk about the technology for many, many years. Now, even here, I open up in this convo and he just calling out in one fell swoop, Trump really ruining crypto for me. And, this is something that I am hearing from so much retail. Going on to say, yeah, but crypto made him into a billionaire in corruptive, untraceable donations. It's a much different level of corruption. Now, this drives me nuts because, for one, it's not untraceable. This is actually the most traceable format of money that we've ever made. It's utterly insane how transparent a blockchain is on the transaction front. There is Bitcoin, which is quasi-anonymous, but no, not really. I don't even want to argue that. If you're looking for untraceability, you got to go through Monero, you got to go through Zcash. Those are the two facets to do it. And you don't see anyone touching those assets except for the libertarian class that really got behind Bitcoin as a whole. Now, how do I counter this when we look at the news cycle and what is being pumped out? Because that is my goal. I want to convince my friend that this is actually a great technology, that if we do believe in the democratic values of the freedom of the masses, then this is the only way that we hold on to that kind of reality in an increasingly omnipotent digital sphere. I mean, the surveillance capitalism was already one thing. It's now being augmented with AI, and we're only going to increasingly not only create and output our own data, but provide that data to these centralized entities, which will be able to build profiles. I've gone into this, and it's scary. But when I wake up today and I look at what's happening in crypto, I mean, fuck, dude. Tron looks to go public from the US and form strategy like TRX Holdings. All right, I did cover Tron lightly in my Why I Do This episode because of their stablecoin explosion and their capacity to bank the unbanked. I think it's novel. I think it's interesting. I like seeing people in developing nations being able to hold stables. Do I really think Tron is good? No, I kind of touched about that and I tried to glare over it. But in reality, Tron is not that great. It came out of a nefarious fork trying to really run pump and dump on Ethereum. Now, this is all comical because if you look at the charts, it's actually been going up and to the right. It's been one of the most performant assets. It has some of the highest staking returns of anything. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. But the fact of the matter is it has all been born off grift and crime. And that is just not something we want to see front and center. So we look at this and, well, okay, Tron is going to go public in the same way these sort of reserve companies have been doing it. Basically, he's going to find a company that's going to buy a lot of TRX and hold it and list that on a public exchange. Now, sure, if you want to do that, I mean, who really cares if you find a company to pull this off? To do it in the US sphere, though, that has been keeping us under such a heavy rock in regards to the good regulation, in regards to building decent businesses. And now it's just going to turn around and reward one of the sketchiest motherfuckers out there, which is just really undesirable. And we can get in here. TXMC as a better recap. But Justin Sun, for one, has been buying a variety of companies that hold assets. He's been falsely advertising the AUM, the assets under management, and he's been using that to bolster Tron TRX for a very long time. He's held on super well. And the rumor has always been that it kind of started as a scam in China. And then the mafia got wind and they were like, look, we're too deeply in this. If you don't make this work, we are going to kill you. That's the behind the scenes, rumor mill stuff for you. But then we get to a point where Justin Sun's actually being investigated by the US law. And how does he get out of this? Well, Justin buys $50 million worth of World Liberty Financial. They basically called everyone in the industry and they said, give us millions of dollars and maybe we'll buy some of your coins. Movement did this right before Move blew up for just being full of shady dealings. Of course, Justin Sun becomes the largest holder of the Trump stablecoin, gaining him access, obviously, to the dinner. But in reality, with his financial alignment with World Liberty Financial, I mean, he has much more direct access to the Trump family than just that dinner. Of course, following that, SEC drops the investigation into Sun. And then, of course, we get Trump's sons join the board of Dominari Holdings, and that holding company is what is taking Tron public on the New York Stock Exchange. And I've got to cycle back to that rumor mill thing that I just put out there, because even while it's a rumor, and even though it's unsubstantiated, like, I've met Justin Sun many times. He does not speak English. He is a Mandarin speaker. He is Chinese to the core. And you have to wonder, like, if people have something on Justin, like, how does that bleed into the current admin, right? This is all very suspicious. Obviously, the corruption is very top level, but it's just gross, and it's not something that we want representative of the industry, as we see when you get major headlines like this. Now, Austin Campbell, a professor at the Stern School of Business in NYU, he is fantastic. I recommend following him. He's just extremely sober on the reality of facts, and he is also a big crypto supporter. Now, that has caused him to be a very vocal Democrat, going out and speaking against the Democrats. But he puts this so succinctly, which is saying that I'm to understand the current state of the admin is, one, we don't want super talented entrepreneurs from other countries building companies that end up as crown jewels of the American economy, NVIDIA, Tesla, etc. We do want to find the crypto projects run by offshore persons with the greatest nexus to crimes, misdeeds, and scams, and have public companies in the United States provide capital. What the fuck? Obviously, he goes on. I'll let you read it. But that, in a nutshell, is such a tautology of idiocy that it's just this like circular loop of like, what are we doing here? As a nation, what are we endorsing? And more importantly to this podcast, as an industry, what are we supporting? I understand many of my peers are running businesses. They see this as the opportunity to use limited resources like $1 million, which isn't huge to a business, to maybe bolster and secure their business for a long time to come. I get it. The grift is happening. People are going to take advantage of it. So why not me? But the further we get entrenched in this cycle of the grift, of the corruption, it's just the more cards we put into the opposition's hands when the power dynamics change. Again, America must remember, you can do all of these heavy-handed things, but how will you feel when they're used against you? Of course, we still have Elizabeth Warren out there, who is public enemy number one. She is responsible for all of the overbearing regulation and just oppression coming out of the Democrats, and she is still very alive and well. When the Dems come back, she is going to do everything to go all out. And unfortunately, the positive things that I cover from the SEC, all of these bills, I mean, they take time. So like, are they going to happen within the 4 years of this admin? I sure hope so. Because if they do not get enshrined in law, they will be on very fickle territories. They could be knocked off their pedestals, no problemo. And we have some reason to be concerned about this, right? Because I talked about the Clarity Act, about how badly we want an overarching regulatory bill to talk about, hey, this is the kind of business you can build. If you follow these rules, you can go out there, you can build something awesome, an autonomous business that shares its revenues. That's what I want to see. I want to see autonomous businesses that share revenues, that provide that democratic opportunity to anyone and everyone, because it's enshrined in code and it just doesn't care who you are. It executes. But we're seeing that this Clarity Act is suddenly being held up. There's a hiccup in the negotiations because there's been an addition from both sides on proposed standard language banning conflicts of interest for POTUS, vice POTUS, members of Congress, and their families from owning businesses that operate in the crypto landscape. Laura Shin goes on, as you probably know, Trump's many crypto business ventures have been a sticking point for Dems and held up the progress of the Senate Genius Act for stablecoins. For the Clarity Act, House Republicans are aiming to get support from an even greater number of Dems. So they're going after this very clear conflict of interest, which is to say, if you're generating millions and millions of dollars off a company, World Liberty Finance, run by your sons, basically setting stage to say, hey, look, it's an obvious conflict of interest for somebody to get into the White House, to have, now World Liberty Finance, it's run by Eric Trump. That's not Trump. But okay, it's one step removed. Trump just talked about his taxes. He had $57 million coming out of World Liberty Finance. Now, in reality, that company's probably extracted much closer to $1 billion. Who knows how that capital is divided? But there is a lot to go around. And obviously, we're seeing these oppositional forces like Justin Sun, very Chinese, CCP relations, who knows? But he is cozying up right next to the administration and providing them with huge influxes of capital. Where that capital is coming from, who knows? And that gets to be very dangerous. So this is This is an obvious thing that we want. We don't want Citizens United, right? Which now allows corporations to lobby endlessly for these positions from the senators. Like, it's no longer about representing us. Everyone should be pissed about Congress being able to trade stocks and bonds and front running all of us when these big decisions are being made. And this is even easier. Now, the irony to me, and the part that's like, yeah, Trump is grifting you, but like, you know, kudos to him, is that the Dems spent such a long time building this opposition force, not permitting real companies to move forward, that not only did they push us to just meme coins and BS grifts on the industry level itself, but they prevented us from making these salient and cogent rules of law that basically these conflict of interest bills. None of this 101 shit was able to get developed because they were so busy trying to kill the industry on a whole. Now, look, I don't think a single child being born today is going to have a bank account. Like, I believe that to my core. They're going to have wallets. And maybe we ditch this fucking word crypto because its branding is hugely tarnished and everyone thinks it's just grifty grift shit. So that could evolve. Maybe AI agents get in front of all of us and we just say, agent, do XYZ. And that is all facilitated by blockchain. I believe we're getting in that direction. So maybe we need to save the brand crypto. Maybe we don't. But this is what the general public is seeing. And this is also a reason why I record these podcasts, because this pisses me off. It's not the industry. It's actually talking about the assets. Like, no, none of this is talking about blockchain. They're talking about blockchain assets. And it's just utterly frustrating. And then we see more and more people are going to come out with bits and pieces of this and use it to weaponize against the crypto industry when that regime change happens. And the world is taking notice. Just check this latest from Molly White, resident crypto hater. But my God, is the work solid? Look at this thread of everyone grifting off of the overall Trump grift. I mean, it's nuts. And if we think this isn't going to blow back in our face, like, we're clearly sleeping on it. I don't know what to say. Guys, this one's really deep, so by all means, please follow the sources and dive in yourself. So this is news coming from David Sirota. He's a podcaster and whatever, but he is trying to take this information and bend it. Senators bankrolled by crypto donors put a line in the crypto bill that says, in bank collapses, holders of bank cryptocurrency get priority over regular depositors, meaning savings checking accounts could be rated to bail out crypto investors. Now, he's talking about a part in the Genius Act that says, look, if someone gives you $1 and you issue $1 in stablecoins against that, that needs to be segregated. You need to keep that stack of dollars, so in case the bank goes down, you can return the dollars one for one to the stablecoins you've issued. His point is to try to say that savings accounts and checking accounts should be mixed up with these crypto dollars that they're issuing. These are two different business lines. The savings and checkings, those are dollars being held in the bank. The other ones are purchasing an issued asset under the understanding that the bank will be good to value that asset as $1. There's no reason to take the stablecoin assets and bundle them up. That is the rehypothecation shit that gets us in trouble every time. So you're just going to see more and more misinformation, and this can be boosted very loudly because this message sounds pretty terrible, right? That if a bank collapses, the cryptocurrency investors, they get out before you do. But no, they gave you $1 for $1 in their stablecoin, and you need to honor that. And the bill is just trying to say, silo those dollars so that if you do fuck around and find out, at least they exist. Now, if you're unfortunately holding, your savings and checking in that bank, I mean, you have FDIC insurance, right? Otherwise, you should probably have done your diligence on the bank, and you should not be open to it taking on the leverage that it would require to collapse the whole damn thing. Now we keep going, and there's big celebration because Coinbase just did a big event. Many announcements, but one of the ones that got a lot of sunlight on it, and something I don't really like, is this new credit card with Amex. Oh, so cool, right? Partnerships out the wazoo. Earn 4% in Bitcoin back on every purchase with the Coinbase One. Now, when I got into blockchain and crypto, one of the single biggest elements that I looked at was the grift of credit cards. They have inundated society with this accepting of 2 to 3% fees on every single payment. It's bad for the vendors. They really incur the majority of it, but they can push that back onto us. And all of this is to facilitate this very heavy tech backend that is credit cards. Your KYC information is shared with multiple different vendors in each credit card swipe. They have to know, do you have the money? Who is it that has the money? Are you valid? Are you all that crap? And as I've covered with KYC, it's really turning into a kill your client kind of thing rather than a know your client. So we don't want the credit cards. If we transacted everything on blockchain with these stable coins that have such cheap fees that can move 24/7, 365 across the globe, we can do it with practically 0%. You're paying the blockchain fee. The fee on L2s is like nothing. The fee on Tron is like nothing. Why do we want to continue giving these credit card providers 2 to 3% on every single transaction? So like, sure, this looks really cool and it seems kind of user friendly that you're earning Bitcoin, but what if we could actually change the world, get rid of credit cards entirely, move to a different form of digital payment? It would still be the same tap to pay that you're familiar with, the same comfort and ease, but we take out this vampiric cost that is just under every single transaction we do. This is one of the points of crypto, and it's just disappointing to see people lean into credit cards for good marketing rather than try to fight the good fight and actually make the change happen. And of course, this takes us to the military march that nobody watched because it was a dud. But I mean, look at this. U.S. Army sponsored by Coinbase? Well, I thought the U.S. Army was held up by the dollar. And now is the dollar held up by Coinbase? Like, what the hell's going on? Where does this circle jerk end? And just look how corny this is. And one reason I think this is so frustrating is because Brian Armstrong got on his goddamn high horse when it was all about DEI. And he was like, hey, no politics in the workplace. He made a very big stink about this. Like, sure, run your business. It's private. I don't really care. There's parts of the DEI landscape that were very frustrating inside of large tech businesses. It did become an enforcement system on race as a counter to racial systems. It was nuts. But then you turn around and suddenly like this, and again, it's like, where are your actual ethos and where are your morals? This started out with Satoshi. This was a moral alignment. This was a libertarian experiment for how we can alter money. But look, Coinbase, you've got the KYC exploit. You've got, man, the spread on Bitcoin. Bitcoin was trading last weekend at like $105,000. They were selling it to you at 106, and they were buying it from you if you wanted to exit at 103. So like, obviously this isn't very good for Bitcoiners. You could sell or buy Bitcoin on the decentralized platforms like Thorchain. So you can do this with a DEX. You can do this without KYC. And I mean, with their KYC exploit, with their egregious fees, with their KYC fiasco, and honestly, with their lack of moral consistency, it's like, what are we doing supporting them? We have Kraken. Kraken's probably going to IPO if you want to get into something good. We have tons of amazing DEX opportunities where you can bypass these things automatically, but we do need a fiat on-ramp, and there does need to be a way for you to go from dollars until you start getting paid in stablecoins. That could be the pivot, right? Hey, pay me in stablecoins straight to a Web3 wallet. I can bypass all of this. Now, this is all disappointing, just especially in its culmination. And as someone that wants to get people excited about the industry, it's just like, well, I don't need the industry to be doing even more damage to ourselves. And I do get concerned that the humility is disappearing and that the deeper these companies get into comfort of running alongside the grift of Trump or just endorsing it in any way because they think they're going to get a tit for tat exchange, that when the tide does turn, when the administration gets out of here, and I think Trump, at the end of the day, he probably will leave. He's making so much money. Why does he need to keep doing this? He's getting old. He's getting demented. And this is just like a cash cow for them. But when this does turn, this hubris can only come back to impact us negatively again. And I'm here trying to be like, hey guys, this isn't all a grift. There's really cool tech. We really do need blockchain for the sake of maintaining our democracy in a digital sphere, for maintaining our privacy, for having AI that we can use without having AI use us. And that's all very important to me, but goddamn, does the industry just want to keep setting itself up for failure. And that gives me real pause, and it makes me a little sad. Boom. That being said, though, it's great weather outside, so I'm going to go get in the sunlight. I hope that you have the same opportunity. Don't lever up. It's nice to see the market rebounding. Everybody feels a little better when they're getting richer. And as always, stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.